everyone, and welcome to another week of Chargers Chat. I'm Dan Wackershauser, joined this week by Dan Imhoff. Hi, Dan. How you doing?
Pretty good, Dan. Glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. Dan is the Director of Facilities, Safety, and Security here at Southwest Tech. We're going to talk about a variety of issues, including the weather, which has not been great the last couple of months.
No, it hasn't cooperated.
No, it hasn't at all. So, Dan, first of all, how long have you been at Southwest Tech?
I've been at the college for 7.5 years now, and the Director of Facilities for the last 5. Actually, 5 next week. My anniversary is next Thursday.
Great.
So,
As the Director of Facilities, Safety, and Security, what are some of your responsibilities in that role, Dan?
so I'm in charge of the buildings, obviously maintenance, custodial staff, new construction, remodels, and then the safety and security as far as environmental health and safety, and then the security of the buildings.
Great. Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about your facilities team? Obviously, it's not just you.
No,
you have a crew that helps you out. How many members do you have? And I guess some of their roles and responsibilities too is related to their jobs.
So the entire department has 13 employees, and then myself as the 14th. And we have an administrative assistant, day maintenance lead, carpenter, HVAC tech, 3 maintenance techs, safety coordinator, and 6 custodians.
That's a big team.
I think that adds up to 13. So I hope
That's
we're
great.
there.
So, as far as their work schedule, how many shifts do they work, Dan? What's the schedule like for your team?
So we have 2 shifts. We have the day shift, which is more of our maintenance, safety, and security crew, and then at the evening is our evening custodian staff. So they work 3:30 till midnight, and then the day crew, we generally have somebody here from 5:30 in the morning until 6 at night.
So there's usually somebody on site most of the time.
Yeah. Anytime the buildings are open, and then we do have that gap from like midnight to 5:30.
Sure. And talk about the physical space of Southwest Tech. If people aren't familiar, I guess, how big of a campus do we have as far as facilities and grounds, Dan?
So the main campus, we have 18 separate buildings covering about 450,000 square feet, located on 130 acres.
And you've been here 5 years, how has the campus changed over that time? I think we've had some movement over the last few years.
So we've done quite a bit of interior remodeling. We've done a few new construction projects. Housing is constantly expanding through our carpentry program. So we've had those evolutions, and the safety and security role is never ending and expanding. So.
Sure. And we mentioned at the beginning, obviously, the weather this winter kind of took hold in the last month or so. We had a couple days there with minus 50-degree wind chill. We've had some campus closures this winter. Are you involved in those discussions when it comes to whether or not to close campus, Dan? How does that work?
Yeah, so I work closely with Caleb White. He's our vice president, and we kind of get a reading. We use the guys that are here on staff. My crew comes in and helps do snow removal and starts that, and we get feedback from them. I usually will contact the county highway departments. We monitor the weather, and then we make our determination on what's in the best interest for our campus community, staff, students.
Sure. And I think the biggest thing, too, about Southwest Tech is, I guess we're kind of a commuter college.
Yeah,
we have a
yeah.
lot of students and staff that commute here. Does that play into your decision, too?
It actually does play a large role. I mean, if we were if we were a low commuter rate, it would be less likely for us to cancel if people were within walking distance of that. But since about 90% of our students commute, it's tougher. I mean, you don't want to put people on the road, put them out, and put them at risk when you don't have to.
Sure.
Or
Does
if
it
you
make
can avoid it?
Does it make it more difficult that we're in a rural area? I mean, some of the roads, I know our county crews and our city crews do a heck of a job, and the crew here does a heck of a job clearing the path, but we know we are in a rural area, and the rural roads do get dangerous sometimes.
And that's one thing that's really tough about getting our read is we're throughout 5 different counties, so we have to monitor every storm that comes through the southwest corner of the state, because a storm that has a heavy effect on Gratiot may not affect Richland Center, but it does affect a large portion of our community, and vice versa. If there's a storm that pushes through to the north end in the Richland County, that does weigh in our decision as we go forward.
Sure. And is there any type of rule of thumb, say if the temperature is a certain number, if we get a certain number of inches or a wind chill or anything like that?
So we really haven't set a benchmark. We're not like the K-12s where we have the negative
Sure.
25. But generally we try to go on based on a large portion of our K-12s in our district, and then any warnings that may be out from the county. If there's a no travel warning that's out, that weighs heavily in our decision. And then obviously with the dreaded polar vortex that we had, those were just different events where the temperature just made it impossible for us to run. We couldn't put people in those situations.
Sure. And I know sometimes with social media these days and people out there, discussing the weather and the predictions for weather, how difficult is it at whatever time you do it, 2 a.m, midnight, how difficult is it to make the decision to cancel class for the day?
It can be quite difficult, especially with the timing of storms. We've had a couple of storms this year. We try to have our decision out by 5:30 in the morning, and Caleb and I have been on the phone, and I've said, could you give me till 6 o'clock? Just because the events are unfolding and things are going differently as you move forward. That is our rule, that we try to have it out by 5:30. 6 is our absolute deadline to make the decision.
Sure.
So that way we can get to the students and staff before they're making their commute. There may be someone here or there that's already on the road, but we try. That's why we try to get it out as soon as we can.
Sure, and I think it's been communicated pretty well. I've been here about a year, but throughout this process, I've learned it's always been communicated that safety is the number one concern for the students and the staff.
Yeah, and it's not just the roads and the highways. It's whether or not we can keep the facilities safe here. Our crew does a great job, and they work very hard to make sure it's there. But there are freezing rain instances and stuff that evolve during the day that we just can't get ahead of.
Sure.
A lot of ground to cover, even for a very good crew.
Sure. And the time that you've been here in the 5 years, how would you describe this winter and the events of this winter compared to past winters, Dan?
So, previous to this winter, in my 4 years previous to this one, we had canceled school a grand total of 3 times. So having already canceled 5 this year it's new ground. It's been difficult. We try to treat each individual incident as its own without letting the past factors weigh in. It's kind of difficult to think sometimes that each one is different. Best to weigh the situation that is actually happening and not let past events affect it. You try to think that if this was the first snow event of the year, or if this was the first ice or cold event we've had, would I have canceled? And if the answer is yes, then you have to cancel. You can't let your urge to get caught up or to make sure we don't miss any more time get in the way of making the right decision.
Sure, that's a good point. And here's some footage, kind of ties in with the security role too. Some footage I got off the security cameras from Brian Keitlinger. Here, the safety coordinator. Can you talk about a little bit about what's going on here? I think these are some of our parking lots.
Yeah.
And this is certainly early in the morning, well before when I get up, Dan.
Yeah. So even on the days that we have snow days, if we've had a snow event through the night, a lot of times the crew report at 2 o'clock in the morning and start clearing lots with the knowledge that we have to try to be open by 6 if we do operate. So they'll be in at 2 o'clock, start pushing snow, and then we will plow to make sure everything's clear by the time we start. And even if we do close, they've been here and they've worked and they try to stay ahead of it because they know that tomorrow they'll have to come in and make sure everything's open and clear. We also have to plow the nights and weekends. There are a lot of Saturday classes that we have, and a lot of times if an event comes in on Sunday, we're better off to have the crew be here and get the snow moved right away that first day, as opposed to letting it sit. And a lot of times it can crust over. It can cause bigger issues if we don't get it off right away.
Sure, yeah, that's one thing that I learned talking to Brian, which is, phenomenal. I would think that all employees during a campus closure for the day are home, but your facilities crew is here at 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and they're out plowing snow that early in the morning when everybody else is home, with the snow event.
Yeah, and the guys are really good about making sure that they know it is part of their duties, and they take ownership in it. They take pride in it.
Yeah.
Making sure that the lots are open, the lots are safe, and that they're doing the best they can for the community as a whole.
Yeah, this is great. So can you talk a little bit about some of the equipment? What do you have for, I guess, snow moving equipment here on campus, Dan?
Well, as you can see in the video right now, we have a few 3/4 ton pickup trucks with blades on the front. We have a 1.5 ton truck, dump truck that we use with salt spreader. We have some Bobcat toolcats that have snow blowers and/or push blades. We use skid steers with large snow pushers. We also have a versatile snow blower that has a 6 foot wide snow blower that we have to make sure that we can get snow pushed back. Some of the earlier videos were us pushing snow back for an event that we knew was going to happen the next day. The piece of equipment that's on the video now is a Bobcat toolcat that we have that's equipped. You can see that we use that a lot of times for cleaning sidewalks, have the salt spreader on the back so we can scrape the sidewalk and then salt it at the same time. So that way we can dual purpose to try to make it so that the sidewalks are safe.
Sure. And how does it work as far as your facilities crew? Do they take a rotation plowing snow? Is there a certain group of people that go out at a certain time? Do they volunteer? I like plowing snow, let me do it this time, or how does that work, Dan?
So generally with the large amount of sidewalks and parking lots that we have, it is an all hands on deck approach, and everyone that works on the day crew, except for myself now and my admin, is out plowing.
Sure.
They're here. They may not report every day, but it depends on if they have days off or whatever. We've actually had several members of our crew that have canceled vacation days and hospitals visits or hospital checkups so that they can, or doctor's appointments, so that they can be here to make sure the crew's not shorthanded, because they know that it takes all of them to make sure the lots can be clean.
Yeah, and they do a fantastic job. I've noticed that too. This is my first winter here, and they do an awesome job. But that's not all they do. It's not just all about snow. And summertime. There are other things that go on around here. What are some of the other responsibilities when it's not snowing, Dan?
So that's just it. I mean, it can be everything from. I mean, we have a lot of HVAC equipment that we have to operate. Summer, winter cooling, plumbing. We also have a lot of shops that we help support to make sure that their equipment and their stuff's going. Maintenance technicians, keeping the carpets clean, keeping the lights on, changing ballast, making sure that we're doing that. During the summer, we do a lot of our own remodeling interior. With a carpenter on staff, we're able to, if it's a small enough project, we'll do like the office changes. We'll do some classroom revamps each year. We try to make sure that we're up on that. Lighting upgrades. Those are the type of things that we do in house to keep the number down. So
yeah, your crew's certainly busy all the time.
Yeah, I think sometimes they think we push them a little too hard, but it's anything, and they're willing to take on the work. Like I said, they take such ownership in the college as a whole that they treat it just like they would if it was their own home.
Sure. And there have been other things too, not regular, traditional work, but there have been some big events that you've been part of. Yeah. Last year we had the U.S. Army Golden Knights parachute team here. I know before that there was a big country concert. Those are big community events with large number of people here in the community. A lot of logistics goes into that ahead of time, behind the scenes. How do you manage and how do you handle all that stuff, Dan?
Well, one thing is it's great to work with both marketing. You guys are awesome to work with, and then the foundation. They're great to work with. They help, and then we make sure that we have everything laid out as well as we can in advance. And then as far as me getting people that volunteer, my crew loves the community, loves the college. That getting people to volunteer to work these events and to help make them work. It's not a chore. It's more or less I ask, we fill the spots, and then we actually end up with extra people sometimes because they just want to be here and be part of it.
Yeah, and the other thing I noticed too at the Golden Knights event is, on campus, the public safety or the public safety department, we had fire trucks there, different crews there. People love to be involved. They love to be at the events. They love to be involved and help the community out. It really is a great place, and that kind of leads me into maybe my final question. What do you like most about working here in your 5 years, Dan?
Wow. I love the people, the students, the staff, pretty much everybody. It's seeing that you're helping change someone's life. I'm an alumni of the college. So is my wife. My wife went through the nursing program a few years ago, and knowing how much getting an education from us can help change and better people's lives, and then knowing that in some small way or some small part I've helped do that.
Sure.
I love taking pride in that. I also love the people that I work with. We have a great group. We have a great atmosphere here. Very supportive, but very challenging at times too. People are willing to be there and be your biggest cheerleader, but they're also there to offer ways for you to improve, and in a very constructive and helpful way.
Sure.
So,
And finally, as director of facilities and your crew moving all the snow around, do you have a prediction as to when spring is actually going to start and the snow is going to be gone?
I think we will definitely have all the snow gone by the time the Golden Knights jump here on July 3rd. I think if all the snow is gone by July 3rd, that's a win.
Well, I'll probably hold you to that.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
okay.
hopefully July 3rd.
Okay.
So thanks, Dan. We appreciate your time, and you guys do an excellent job.
Yeah, thank you,
We
Dan.
appreciate it. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Again, this is Chargers Chat. Next week, my guest will be Heather Ringberg, our online navigator. We'll be talking about our online programs again next Thursday, right here at noon. Thanks for joining us.